Hello, I am the Notherian, and I'm excited today to share with you a pre-alpha build of Labyrinth. Labyrinth is an upcoming, fully 3D, card-based dungeon crawler. You can think of it like Dungeons & Dragons meets Hearthstone or Magic the Gathering. But before I begin, I want to tell you about your chance to win. You see, Labyrinth will be entering an early access beta later this spring, and you can be part of the action. Just start following Labyrinth Oracle on Twitter before February 5th, and you'll get a chance to win a pre-order package that guarantees you a spot in the early access beta. So go on Twitter, follow @LabyrinthOracle. Also, you can see there's a link below the video for more details on this giveaway. Look forward to playing against you in the early access beta. So the game of Labyrinth has two parts. The first part, you set up your labyrinth as a challenge for other players. That is, you build up your own personal labyrinth and you fill it with boss monsters and minions to kill off pesky heroes. And then the second part of the game is where you assemble your own party of powerful heroes. You equip them with cards representing spells and attacks and skills, and you go and you adventure in a labyrinth created by another player to take on the bosses and minions that reside there. So in this pre-alpha version of the game, the building a labyrinth portion isn't yet available, so we're going to take on a pre-packaged labyrinth in this video. However, when the game finally releases, since all of the labyrinths are built by other players, and there's a large number of boss monster and minion cards for them to choose from, there should be an endless variety of challenges for your heroes to take on. Now let's take a look at the heroes of Labyrinth. But before I go any farther, I want to remind you one more time that this is a pre-alpha build of the game. Now what that means is that everything that you see here is subject to change. You're going to see some placeholder art, some graphical glitches, maybe a couple minor bugs, but hopefully this is still enough to give you a sense of what the game is like. Now, in the pre-alpha version of the game, there are 4 heroes, one for each of the 4 disciplines of magic in the Labyrinth universe. Now, when the game finally releases, they're planning on 16 different heroes, so there'll be significantly more hero variety then. But for now, let's start out by looking at Edric Falstaff. Edric is a skullduggery hero. You can see this icon that I'm mousing over means skullduggery, and skullduggery is a very flexible discipline. It includes both melee attacks and ranged attacks. Skullduggery heroes use a stealth mechanic in order to protect themselves and avoid damage. They can also use stances to specialize in range or melee combat depending on what your party needs or what's needed in a particular encounter. So I've pulled up the card that represents Edric Falstaff, and you can see that Edric Falstaff, like all heroes, has a special ability that differentiates him from other skullduggery heroes. Now, Edric's special ability is that he reduces all non-attack damage to 0. So this means that if Edric is adventuring in a labyrinth and he steps on a trap, and that trap is going to, chop him and deal some damage, well, his special ability allows him to entirely avoid that damage. Additionally, you can see that Edric has 1 armor and 1 resist. What that means is that Edric has a balanced defense, and he reduces all incoming physical damage by 1, as well as reducing all incoming magic damage by 1. Now, finally, the little icon at the bottom, the hand, indicates Edric's talent. So a talent is a very special card that a hero has that they're guaranteed to draw. You see, every hero has a deck, and they, in an encounter, randomly draw cards from their deck. But the talent is a card that a hero is guaranteed to draw, and furthermore, when they play their talent, they draw it right back again. So it's always in their hand and always available to them. It kind of forms the core of who the hero is. So Edric's talent is called Edric's Edge, and it's a strong, quick melee attack that really defines him as a powerful melee fighter. Now you can imagine that another hero in skullduggery might have a different talent that was, say, a ranged attack, and then that hero would play very differently. So that's one of the ways that they get hero variety to matter in this game. The second hero I want to take a look at is Korgon Twiceborn. Now, Korgon is a warfare hero, and your warfare heroes are your big, durable melee heroes. And warfare heroes have a special mechanic called Fury. So, just like Edric had the special mechanic of stealth and stances, warfare heroes have Fury. And whenever a warfare hero takes damage, he gains more fury, he gets angry, and then there's special cards that allow warfare heroes to spend their fury to do lots of damage or really powerful effects. Now, as compared to other warfare heroes, Korgon has a special ability that says, when Korgon deals damage to an enemy, he gains fury. So what this means basically is that Korgon gains fury faster than other warfare heroes, because not only when he takes damage does he gain fury, but also when he deals it out. Also, you can see that from a defensive standpoint, Korgon has better defenses than Edric did. He has 2 armor, so he reduces incoming physical damage by 2, in addition to 1 magical resist. And finally, Korgon's talent is Ghost Bite, which is a slow, fairly hard-hitting melee skill. Because he's a big, slow, hard-hitting melee warrior. The third hero we're going to look at is Lavella Star-Touched. Lavella is a Faith hero. Faith heroes are very flexible caster heroes, so not only can they blast their opponents with divine magic, but they also have a wide variety of support magic. They can buff their allies, or heal their allies, or even cripple their enemies. Additionally, Faith heroes have a special mechanic called Devotion. So when a Faith hero walks into a fight, they have a full pool of devotion points. And then over the course of the fight, they can spend these devotion points for powerful added effects to enhance their magic, until eventually they run out at some point late in the fight. Now, Lavella has a special ability that says she starts with 2 additional devotion points. So that means that she can get more of these powerful devotion effects in a fight before she runs out. Also, you can see that Lavella has 1 armor and 1 resist, just like Edric, and her talent is Lavella's Judgment. This is actually a very flexible talent. The Lavella's Judgment card is an either-or, so she can cast it either for a little bit of healing on an ally, or a little bit of damage on an enemy. The final hero in the pre-alpha build is the Pyromancer. The Pyromancer is a wizardry hero. Wizardry heroes are masters of the elements. So they cast powerful spells of fire, frost, air, and earth to control the battlefield and to damage their opponents. Additionally, wizardry heroes have a special mechanic of elemental power. As a wizardry hero casts more and more spells with one particular element, they gain power with that element. And once they reach particular thresholds, they can unlock special added effects on their future spells. So the Pyromancer is a particular wizardry hero that has them a special ability that makes her particularly well suited to fire magic. So Pyromancer can cast spells of any element, but her fire attacks are going to deal 1 extra damage every time she casts them. Additionally, the Pyromancer, like most wizardry heroes, is very fragile. She can resist 1 point of magic damage on all incoming spells, but she has no armor, so she takes full damage from physical attacks. Finally, there's actually a little typo here. So, her talent is not actually Lavella's Judgment. Her talent is actually a Fire Blast spell, which is just, a bread and butter single target fire attack that goes with this whole fiery damage theme that the Pyromancer has. Now, before we jump into battle, I want to quickly show you the Labyrinth deck builder. Every hero in Labyrinth is equipped with a deck of 30 cards that represents the spells and attacks that that character takes with them into battle. So on the right side here, I've gone and built a deck for my Pyromancer hero, and I've filled it full of deadly fire magic spells to go and incinerate my enemies. But on the left side, you can see that there's a lot of options, a bunch of different cards available that I could have put in my deck. This is the pre-combat planning phase. I select what abilities I want my character to have access to when they actually go and fight. So you can see on the left side there's three types of cards that my Pyromancer could be using. First, there's neutral cards. These are generic, general-purpose abilities that are available to heroes of any discipline. Then there's the wizardry cards, which are elemental magic abilities that are only available to wizardry-type heroes. And then finally, there are hero-specific cards, which are cards that only the Pyromancer can use. So that's another way that Labyrinth differentiates between different wizardry heroes, by having different hero-specific cards. So let's pull up a card and take a look. So this is Dragon's Breath. It's a powerful cone of fire, and it does 4 damage to everybody in a cone that is 5 long. Now, one of the most interesting things about cards in Labyrinth is the way the cost is handled. So, every card in Labyrinth has a tick cost. You can see this clock up here. It says 2. So, that is how long my character will be exhausted after using this attack. Basically, the way it works is that I have a bunch of abilities available to me in my hand when I'm adventuring, and I can play any ability that I want for my Pyromancer, but some abilities take longer than others. So if I use this Dragon's Breath attack, then it will be 2 ticks, like 2 little turns, before my Pyromancer is ready to act again. On the other hand, if I had played an attack that was only a 1, my Pyromancer would be ready faster. So this is a way to balance between slower, more powerful attacks versus quicker and lighter attacks. And there's room for both in Labyrinth. Over on the right side, this other number is the number of cards that I draw when I play Dragon's Breath. So when I play Dragon's Breath, it gets discarded, and I get to draw 1 new card to replace it. So my hand stays the same size. And there's a lot of cards that have a 1 up in the corner, which means they replace themselves. But there's also some cards, like this Fire Amulet, where when I play the Fire Amulet, I draw 0 cards, meaning that my hand gets smaller. And if I have too many cards in my deck that have a 0, then later in the fight, my hand ends up being very small, and my Pyromancer has few options available to him. Also, you can see that there are some spells, actually it's shown here as a -1. This is actually a graphical glitch that should display as a 0. But what this 0 means, or this -1, I guess, is that this doesn't take any time to do a Stone Dart attack. So if my character does a Stone Dart attack, he does 2 physical damage to target enemy, and then he is immediately ready to play another card. Of course, Stone Dart also doesn't allow me to draw any other cards, so if I play too many Stone Darts, eventually my hand gets tiny, but it's very useful to be able to play this very quick attack to do 2 damage and then a bunch more damage, maybe from like a Dragon's Breath. Also, I think I had mentioned earlier that wizardry heroes build up elemental power as they play cards. So you see Dragon's Breath says 5 firepower colon. And 5 firepower colon means that this will deal 6 damage instead of 4 if I can get up to 5 firepower. And the way I get up to 5 firepower is by playing a bunch of fire spells. Or using this special Fire Amulet card that says it gives me firepower. So there's some synergy here. I'm going to put some Fire Amulet cards into my Pyromancer's deck so that then he can get the bonus damage on his Dragon's Breath more quickly. But that's the basics of spells in Labyrinth, and you'll see a little bit more when we jump into battle in just a moment. Now that our heroes are ready, it's time to brave a labyrinth. So when I adventure into a labyrinth, I'm able to take with a party of 3 heroes. For this particular adventure, I think I'm going to leave Edric behind, and I'm going to bring with Lavella. So what my party looks like is I've got a Pyromancer, and I've built her deck so that it's chock full of really damaging fire spells. So she's going to be my primary source of damage on this adventure. Then for Lavella, my Faith character, she's using much more of a support deck. So not much damage, but some healing and a lot of cards that will help out her allies. And finally, for my Warfare character, Korgon, I tried to build a deck with a mix of survivability cards and damaging attacks. So we'll see how this goes. Let's see if it can find us a Labyrinth to raid. So here is our Labyrinth. And this Labyrinth has 3 levels. There's an outer rim, there's a middle tier, and then there's an inner sanctum, where the boss of the Labyrinth lives. So in order to get through and defeat this Labyrinth, we're going to have to go through 3 encounters. And I have a choice of 3 different options to work my way through the outer rim. So let's see what the options are. So I can fight against Rogix, the Heart of Fire, who's a fire elemental boss. He's going to cast a lot of fire spells, and his special ability means that he does more damage the more fire spells he casts. Also, you can see on his card that he has a balance between armor for physical damage and resist against magic damage, so he's more of a balanced defense. My second option is Oros, a Minotaur boss. And his special ability is if he would take a large amount of damage, he only takes 3 instead. So that means that one needs to beat Oros with a bunch of really fast, light attacks instead of big, slow, hard-hitting. And unfortunately, my Pyromancer is all about big, slow, hard-hitting fire spells, so I don't think I'd do very well against Oros. The final option is Radagar, the Horde Caller. So his special ability is that the more friendly minions he has to assist him, the more armor he has. So that means that Radagar is going to want to summon a lot of spirits to his side, and those are going to help protect him, and I'm going to have to deal with all of these allies that he summons. Now, fortunately for me, my Pyromancer has a lot of big area of effect damage spells that'll create big fiery explosions, so I think I'm going to do pretty well against his horde of minions. So I think this is the encounter I want to try out with this party. But you see there's a significant amount of strategy in choosing which encounter is going to be best for the party you've brought along. Also, from a Labyrinth design point of view, if somebody is constructing a Labyrinth, you want to build up your encounters so that anyone who is able to take on the final boss, the type of party that does well against the final boss, is going to run into serious problems on any path to the final boss. So, any case, let's fight Radagar and see how it goes. At the beginning of a fight, each of my heroes draw 3 cards from their deck, and then I'm given an opportunity to get rid of any cards that I don't think will be useful to me early on in the fight. So I'm just going to X out some cards, and then when I hit confirm, it will go and redraw cards to replace the ones that I didn't want to start with for my characters. So here we are in the boss's sanctum. Each of the boss types in the game has their own artwork for their lair. And this is kind of a spirit boss, and so he has somewhat of an ancestral vibe. The most important thing on the screen right now is up in the upper left corner, you see that all 4 characters in the fight are shown, and my 3 heroes are highlighted in green. And what that means is my heroes are ready to act, and then immediately after them the boss will act. But as characters use attacks and cast spells which exhaust them, then they become inactive for some number of ticks, and it will, in the upper left-hand corner, show the order in which they're going to act and how long I have to wait before one of my heroes is ready again. So in the middle, we have the boss. I can go and look at the boss's card, which is, let's see, he has 6 attack and 40 health. No armor currently, although we know that he will gain armor as he summons minions. Uh, Additionally, there's these spawning portals, which are the blue circles on the ground. That's where his minions will come from when he calls them to his aid. And then down at the bottom, you see each of my heroes and the cards that they have in their hand. So let's see. I'm going to start out. I just move my characters. So on my character's turn, she can move up to 3 spaces and then play 1 card. Or if I don't want to play a card, I can pass. I passed with her, and you see the little 1 underneath Lavella. That means that there's 1 tick until she will act again. So I'll move him up here, and then move my Pyromancer over. And yeah, then I think my Pyromancer is going to cast Winds of Change, which allows me to draw some cards and then discard to get what I want into my hand. Let's discard that. So the boss comes at me. He then summons a minion. And you see that the boss's clock is now at 3 because he spent some time summoning that minion. So I can go and look at this minion, and this minion is Arrow Bait. When an enemy targets an ally with a ranged attack, Arrow Bait becomes targeted instead. So that's actually kind of annoying. He will absorb any ranged attacks or long-distance spells that are intended for the boss. And you can also see that the boss got 1 little armor. So he has 40 health, and he has 1 little armor because he has 1 minion, and that's going to absorb 1 damage from any of my attacks. So let's see. I'm going to run my warrior. Ooh, no. Did not want to do that. Haha. That was a tactical error. So, I'm going to toss out a firebolt. The firebolt gets absorbed by the arrow bait instead of going and killing the boss, or at least damaging the boss. But that's okay. Now I'm going to run down my warrior. Unfortunately, now my pyromancer is going to take some damage, which is probably bad. So then I will, let's see. I'm going to use a Warrior's Prayer. Warrior's Prayer is a self-buff, which will give me some extra defense and some extra fury for a little while. Then I'll use, do a melee attack at him. So you see now all of my characters have gone, except for Lavella. So the fire spell didn't take quite as long as the big 2-handed melee attack. So my Pyromancer will go again before my Warrior, and then the boss will go after that. So let's see. I probably need a little bit of healing because my Pyromancer is down to 6 health and is about to take a hit from the boss. So Lavella's Judgment, this is the talent for Lavella. It lets me pick whether I want to do 3 damage or restore 3 health. You remember the talent cards are the special cards that you're guaranteed to draw. So Lavella just played Lavella's Judgment, and it ends up right back into her hand because it's her talent. And what does she want to do? Maybe I will fire off the cross. No, I don't have a good position for that. Guess I'm just going to toss Lavella's Judgment again. This time I'm going to go and kill that little minion. So now my Pyromancer can run out of the way. Fortunately, the boss is slow enough here that I made the mistake of moving my Pyromancer too close to the boss, and I was able to get the Pyromancer away because the boss had a lot of ticks left on his clock. This particular boss was playing some slow cards, and some of the summons happened more quickly than others, so he had a lot of time on his clock after he acted. I'm going to... so, you see here I have 1 firepower and 2 air power based on the cards I've played. I'm going to keep building up my firepower by casting my talent spell, which just does a nice little bit of damage to the boss. Let's see. And I think for my warrior, I'm going to use Flash of Steel. Flash of Steel gives him Counter Strike until his next turn, which will be about 4 ticks from now. And Counter Strike causes him to do some damage every time he gets attacked. So we have a Spirit of War appearing in the corner, and the boss is probably going to, yeah, smack me down. But You remember I played a self-armor buff a little while ago, so my guy's sitting with 4 armor, the boss didn't hurt too badly. Unfortunately, the minion went after my Pyromancer. So keeping my Pyromancer alive is clearly a big issue with this particular party. Oh, I'm sorry, actually that wasn't my Pyromancer, that was my Priest. I think that I'm going to play Hellfire. Hellfire does damage to everyone within range 3, so it'll hit both the minion and the boss. And then while I'm throwing out AoE effects, my Priest, one of the only attack spells that my Priest has in the deck is the Cross, which goes and fires off everybody in a line, either horizontally or vertically from my Priest, is going to get hit by the Cross. So that knocks out that minion and the boss is down to 11. I think this fight is looking pretty darn good. Star Song. So one of the support type abilities that my Faith character has is the ability to cause a friend to draw a card. And this has an extra devotion effect where if I spend some devotion, it will also heal that character. My Lavella is sitting at 9 devotion, which is quite a bit, so I'm going to grab the devotion version of the card and go and cause my Pyromancer to draw. Let's see, get some more Fury for my Warrior. He's now up to 8 Fury. My Wizard is my Pyromancer up to 4 Firepower. And I think I'll just toss my regular Fire Spell, and that finishes off the fight. So this first fight in the Labyrinth wasn't particularly difficult. We did pretty well, and then we are going to be on shortly to the second fight. So after winning the first fight, we find ourselves back at the Labyrinth screen. We're now looking at the second middle tier of the Labyrinth on our way to fight the final boss in his inner sanctum. Here we have 2 fights to choose from. The first one is Rogix the Incinerator, another fire elemental boss. This one has the special ability, friendly fire minions have +1 attack. So he's going to be summoning like fire elemental type minions, and they're going to be more powerful because of his special ability. Also, you can see that he resists magic. The other boss is an armored boss, so he resists physical damage instead of magical. And he has the special ability that he cannot be targeted by magical attacks as long as he controls a structure. So his strategy is going to be to put out structure cards into the fight, and then that'll protect him from any spells that I want to throw. So I'm going to try the Fire Elemental this time. One thing before I go in here, at the top of the screen you can see that this is FRG1's Labyrinth. That's telling me who created this Labyrinth. FRG is Free Range Games, the developer. This is a Labyrinth they pre-packaged with the pre-alpha version of the game, but once the game launches, up here it would show me the name of whatever sadistic fiend it was that had created this Labyrinth that I'm struggling to fight my way through. So, let's take on Rogix. And so our heroes find themselves in a caldera of flame facing Rogix, the fire elemental boss. Here their adventure continues, but this video has reached its end. Fortunately, there's a lot more Labyrinth excitement yet to come. Labyrinth will be coming to early access beta later this spring. Please follow @LabyrinthOracle on Twitter for links to all sorts of Labyrinth-related information and resources. If you have any questions about the game, please put them in the comment section. I hope you've enjoyed this pre-alpha look at Labyrinth, and I look forward to seeing you in a future video.